1 billion people worldwide will be menopausal by 2025. And this is not just a topic of people in their 40s and 50s. Some women begin menopause, I did not know this, before they even turn 40. Some, in very rare cases though, in their teens and 20s. Take a look.
Women in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, their 60s are going through menopause.
In their 30s?
Our mothers didn't talk to us about it.
Since our medical gaslighting show last season, menopause has been a hot topic for the Tam Fam.
I was 52 years old when menopause started.
Some days I feel like the world is ending because of my mood swings.
So for me, it was the weight gain.
The hot flashes would get so bad, I would have to stick my head in the freezer, literally.
The personal rite of passage for women typically starts at about 51 years old in the United States. But for 1% of women, the transition starts much sooner, in their late 30s and sometimes even younger.
At 32, I was hit with full-blown menopause.
I was 25 when I entered menopause.
I was 16.
I was 14 and I had not gone through puberty yet. My hot flashes were so bad in school that I had to run away to the bathroom to cool off.
My brain fog was so severe, I thought I was losing my mind.
My fatigue worsened over time to the point where I couldn't even function. At first, I used to be very embarrassed to share my story, but now I share it to raise awareness about menopause. We all need to talk about menopause.
Wow. Well, today, that's exactly what we're doing, Tam Fam. Like we always do, we're saying, let's talk about it. We're digging into the conversation that has not been talked about enough. Amanda, Megan, Stephanie, and Anna, who all experience menopause or menopause-like symptoms in their teens, 20s, and 30s are here with us. And we wanted one of the nation's leading OBGYNs and menopause experts to weigh in on this. So we asked someone I just adore, Dr. Sharon Malone, to answer our questions and guide us in this hour. We've been taking questions from the audience. We have people who've sent in videos that I cannot answer, but Dr. Sharon can. Plus, one of the women who helped inspire this hour when she was on the show last year, Michelle Jacobs, is back. She co-founded the company Womaness to fill the need for menopause support and inspiration. Welcome to the Tam Fam. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Michelle, you know, I'll start with you because when we did that show, it was one of our pandemic shows. You know, we didn't really have an audience. People started emailing, people started calling and writing. I have to tell you, outside of what are we eating for dinner, me and my friends talk about menopause a lot because I'm now 52. I've not started yet, but I know it's coming because there are signs.
Yeah.
And so we're like really just taking the Band-Aid off and being real about this conversation. Hot flashes are not the only symptom or sign.
Exactly.
But people, that's the thing we talk about the most.
That is what menopause is known as. People think hot flashes. But in fact, the NIH says there are 9 symptoms of menopause. I've heard up to 40. So
up to
everything
40?
from hot flashes, night sweats, memory issues, bone loss, sexual wellness issues, depression. I mean, there are a lot of issues associated with this fluctuation of your hormones and the changes that occur in your body. And many women only think, oh, I'm having a hot flash, and that's it.
That's what my entire life, my aunts, women in my circle, they literally say, you know, oh, I turn on the AC or somebody walking around with the fan. That was our symbol of menopause. But it's a list like this and more. What's the fear? At this point, in what years is 2022 going into 2023, what is the fear here?
The fear is that people associate menopause with getting older. And there is ageism, as we all know. But the fact is, and the point of this whole show, is that menopause affects women at all ages. Yes, there is an average age of 51, but it really affects all women. And it's not the end. It's not horrible. Women get through it. We have each other. We have a community. And honestly, a lot of women tell us it's the best time of their life also.
Really? Okay, so since this is an honest conversation, some women say it's the best. Other women, let's be honest, don't see it as that. Michelle Obama said it's a blessing. God bless. But not everybody, Dr. Malone, see it that way. Because it can be debilitating. It's stressful. I deliberately wore like an outfit with a split because I didn't want people to think, oh, it's the old lady hour today. I was like, because we don't want people to assume that it's over, the ageism, and also that you're not as desirable to your significant other or to yourself. And that's a part of the fear.
Correct. And I think one of the things that we've got to really sort of rebrand menopause. It is not, as we say, it's not the end of things, it's the beginning of another phase of life. And I think that what's really important for women to know is that menopause is not really just an event. It is a process that starts for women.
So there's no light switch where suddenly you're menopausal.
No. Yeah. I mean, you know, if you say technically menopause starts the moment you have your last menstrual period. You don't know when that is, but it is confirmed after you've gone 12 full months and no period. But that process, starting that those postmenopausal years, starts in the menopausal transition or perimenopause, and that starts for most women in their early 40s. So all of these symptoms that we associate with menopause actually start as early as a decade before you've had your last menstrual period.
And there are also rare cases of where it could start earlier. That's why I wanted our panel to have a diversity in age. Megan, you went through medical menopause, 25 years old, but then you had your two sons, Connor, who's 7, and Daniel's 4. And now at 40, you're going through perimenopause. So you've been on the journey.
I have.
How do you describe, especially learning 25 medical menopause? How do you define it? How is it defined to you?
So I had endometriosis, and so I had my first laparoscopy to have it removed when I was 25, and my OBGYN at that point felt like I should start using Lupron, which was an injection in my arm once a month for 6 months to give my body time to heal. And to slow the regrowth of the endometriosis. So that way, when I was ready to have kids, I'd be ready.
Yeah.
So it seemed like menopause on steroids in a way. Like the symptoms were just so extreme. And I knew like hot flashes, I knew night sweats, but I didn't know
the other list of 40 things. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really what made me very afraid to enter perimenopause naturally when I got to that age.
You were bracing yourself, like, I've already been through this, now I've got to go through it again.
Yes.
What will this be like? Amanda, your situation, you went through cancer treatment.
Yes.
And that prompted early menopause.
Yes.
Something, again, I did not know. We have so many breast cancer survivors who come into our studio, many survivors of cancer are women who are part of the TAN family. Yes. I did not know that this was a part of your journey.
Yes. I had uterine cancer. So stemming from uterine cancer, it caused me to have a hysterectomy. So from having a hysterectomy, it was menopause almost immediately.
Had the doctors prepared you for that?
They prepared me slightly, but I didn't realize it was immediately. Like, I had the surgery February 25th. February 26th, I was in menopause. I could just sit at home and break out in a sweat.
And how old were you at the time?
32.
You were 32 years old.
Yes.
And that's a big part of the conversation and why I wanted Dr. Malone here, Melissa, because these are the stories you don't hear. You hear the hot flash, the change conversation that we've been having for the beginning of time.
Yes.
But knowing that you had gone through a hysterectomy and then overnight.
Yes.
You know how many women will experience that same thing but have never heard somebody on TV talk about it? Girl.
I'm here to inspire others, but it's true. It happened like overnight. I was having visitors over at home and just break out in a sweat. I wasn't doing anything, just breaking out in a sweat. And I was like, so this is really menopause. Wow. And then I would go to lay down and I feel it coming through the body. Like from the top of my scalp all the way down to my toes. And it was hot and cold.
But you're looking at your birth date and saying, this number that I am in age is not matching what's happening to my body.